Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching another live edition of a Q&A with you and me. I do one of these every weekday based on the questions that you ask. Good questions, really. Many of you have watched me drive before in the vlogs and some other videos that I've done specifically for the Classic channel, not so much in this channel. But thank you for asking the question. Someone did in the open Facebook thread, is a Prius worth buying? So I didn't really know what a Prius was, didn't really care. I saw a lot of them in Seattle about 6, 7 years ago, and yeah, they look kind of weird. I didn't quite understand, why one would want something like a Prius. But then it was an advertisement, believe it or not, at the airport that ultimately got me thinking when I was right on the precipice of needing to get a new car. Because for the longest time, I haven't owned a vehicle. I don't know if I plan on owning a vehicle. I'm just not much of a vehicle owner kind of guy. Because to me, every 3 years or so, we get new technologies in our vehicles. And I believe that's a good thing, right? It's one of the reasons I love technology is because it's never valuable forever. It's just valuable for a certain period of time. So, for on average, a lease it has been a pretty good option for me. But I am again looking down the barrel of this. It feels that stressful for me of needing a new car or a couple of new cars. We may actually be consolidating, getting just one family vehicle between Diana and myself. We don't know what that is. So, is a Prius worth buying? I tell you, based on my experience, specifically with the most recent model that I've been driving, my TARDIS, you've seen that in the vlogs. I love one thing in particular is the thing that stands out for me. A decent nav system, but I put car nav systems in the meh category. I really would have appreciated having a car that ran, Google or Android. I talked about that. It was long before it was even a possibility, before Google was talking about being in the car, talked about Google powering cars like nav systems and helping you get to your music and connectivity, etc. So and the nav system works. It works well enough. It's not great. There's one feature on the car that I use pretty much every time I get in the vehicle. Cruise control was never something I used frequently enough, but there is a feature beyond the heads-up display being kind of neat in front of me so I can always see the speed in front of me so I don't have to look down at the dash. I like the heads-up display. It's very, very useful. But you can basically set, and this isn't the only vehicle that does this, by the way. I know of that. You can set cruise to automatically follow a vehicle in front of you down to, I think, like 28 miles per hour, and then it turns off. But it'll automatically keep a safe distance for you. So if I'm on cruise control, I'm always a safe distance behind the vehicle in front of me. And you can even set the distance of the vehicle. Like, I think you got like 3 chiclets that you can toggle as you're setting the cruise level, at least the distance of the car in front of you. I love that. I love that feature. There have been times where, I've been aware of something happening in front of me, and of course I've applied the brakes, but the car's warned me that something's happening in front of me. That's also been nice. Those are great safety features, but also convenience features. And so, to me, which I can't, honestly, this will go to show you just how much I care. I mean, I do care. It's a vehicle. It gets me from point A to point B. I'm not a car geek. I'm not a car nerd. I don't ultimately care. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, great. It's your choice. No one's telling you what to drive or not drive. But it's always been great in terms of mileage. Very rarely, even with gas prices being as high as they were, very rarely would I go above $35 US when I was filling up the vehicle. And, on my type of driving and how frequently I drive, it's been very, very valuable because I haven't felt like I've spent too much on gasoline because it is a hybrid vehicle. But it fits me. It's geeky enough for me. I'm not looking for speed. What's the point for me? Because there's how fast can you go 25 miles per hour? I mean, really, how fast can you go 65 miles per hour? It was never about that. It's a very comfortable vehicle. It has been. I never did a full-on review of this particular vehicle. I might do that, though. I may take it out for a spin and have Diana vlog me as I talk through some of the things that I really liked about the car. Doing a lot, not a live, but a real-time driving of the experience of having this Prius. So I've liked it. I've appreciated it. But I don't know if our next vehicle is going to be a Prius or even from Toyota in general. I don't know. There are a lot of options out there, and the reason why I'm talking about this today is, number one, someone did ask this question, and number two, you may have a recommendation for me. And I know everyone that I seem to ask responds with Tesla. You know, I've considered it. I really genuinely have. That would be a great option, but I think leasing options are only for business at this point. And so I don't know exactly how that would work. And I definitely do not want to get strapped to a vehicle. I don't want to buy a vehicle. I really do not. If I am in the position in another month or so where I do have to buy a vehicle, it will likely be a holdover vehicle that I can hold on to indefinitely, likely a smaller vehicle, a full-on electric vehicle that I can take on, in-town trips when I go to get the mail, or, when I go to get groceries, or when I go to get, X, Y, or Z. Not a family vehicle, obviously, but a good secondary vehicle for just in case types of situations. So I don't know what I'm going to do. So as much as I say, yes, I think the Prius is worth buying if you want to, if you're in the market. Let me put it this way. This was the second Prius that I've driven. And I only upgraded because I was comfortable and I liked the first one. And it was great on mileage. And so I like paying less money at the pump. And it's a good vehicle for me. I'm happy with it. And so I'm not asking for anybody's judgment. I'm not saying it's a perfect vehicle for everybody. No one would say that in their right mind. There's no perfect vehicle for everybody. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm going for the trifecta and going for a third Prius. I don't know. I don't know. There's so many options. I'm more like a millennial, and I've talked about this in the past too. Apparently, millennials don't want to get strapped to cars either. They don't want to buy a new vehicle. I don't even know if they want to lease vehicles. There are a lot of options out there. I'm looking for as many good options as I possibly can, and I'm really throwing it out to the community. I know what I've liked in the past. I know it's worked. I know it's been affordable. I am likely steering towards just getting one family vehicle, and if we get a second one, it would likely be a quote-unquote smart car. I'd use that as a generic term, although I believe it's a brand. I don't know anything about cars at all. I never claimed to know anything about cars. I care because they get me from point A to point B. I cannot wait for self-driving vehicles. So don't turn to me ever for any kind of car buying advice. Someone asked. They asked me. I'm giving them my response. It is a vehicle that I think is worth buying, and I think I had made that decision in going after a second, or using a Prius the second time, thinking that it was a good upgrade. I don't even know what would be available in the new Prius models that I'd be leasing again at that point when the lease is up in a month or two. So I've got to make a decision quickly. It's a really big deal. And I use the car frequently enough. I vlog in it all the time, safely, very, very safely. And I have the logo covered because A, I'm not usually vlogging the steering wheel, and B, because you want to talk about a commercial, I like it, but not that I've become an evangelist for it. I mean, very few things I've become an evangelist for. Very, very few things. And the car, as much as I've appreciated it, as much as I'd like to continue driving it, I don't know if it's as practical an option as other options in the marketplace right now. So I've got to make some hard decisions. And buying that vehicle is not for me. But I would recommend, if you are looking into it, and if you've done your research and you've done your test driving, I'd have no problem in recommending anybody buy or lease a Prius. At all. Didn't have any issues with it if that's what you're in the market for. So I think I covered all my bases and said everything I needed to say. I know inevitably I'm going to face a flood of people who see fit to judge others based on the vehicles they drive. Small-minded people that I'm so sad to say we have to share the road with. Those are just the laws of nature. Unfortunately, we have to deal with judgmental pricks. Sorry about that. I'm not going to judge you. I don't care. I don't care what you drive. As long as you do it safely, really. That's the only thing that really upsets me on the road is when someone is obviously driving 25 miles per hour faster than me. Wait, the laws of physics don't apply to you? Oh, I'm sorry. It's because you're in a bigger vehicle. Got it. That's another beef I have. I can park, with the current car, I can park in a compact space. SUVs, not so much. I don't even think I want an SUV either. Ugh. It'd be so hard. It'd be so hard to make a leap. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm in a quandary. So I'm turning this question around now that I've answered it. Again, to ask you, what do you think? What do you think would fit us? What do you think would work? I'd hate to buy. I don't want to buy. And I don't want to lease. I have no other options. I still got to get around. Public transportation would work, could work, but that ain't very practical, especially with a newborn baby. on board. How I've adored that sign on my car's window pane. Boom, boom, boom. Bouncing my step, loaded with pep. 'Cause I'm driving in the carpool lane. Call me a square friend, I don't care. That little yellow sign can't be ignored. I'm telling you, it's mighty nice. Each trip's a trip to paradise with my baby on board. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.